Handoff, Dorsett, right guard to the 10, to the 5, touchdown!
Oh man, Tony Dorsett. Love to watch him.
There is a version of Tony Dorsett that everybody knows. The kid from the steel mills of Aliquippa who broke every college record imaginable. Number 33 in the silver and blue. The man who ran 99 yards into NFL history with only 10 players on the field.
I didn't know Pitt had a football team until I heard of Tony Dorsett.
4 Pro Bowls, a Heisman, a Super Bowl ring, a Hall of Fame bust in Canton, Ohio. That version is real, every yard of it.
Well, they also have a player this year that probably is the best of all of the Pittsburgh Panthers. His name is Tony Dorsett.
But Tony Dorsett turned 72 years old, and the version of him that exists today, the one living quietly in the Dallas suburbs, fighting a battle he never saw coming.
I forget how to get there. I have to ask my wife, how do you get there? I'm going to beat this. Trust me, I'm going to beat this.
That is the version they did not put on a highlight reel. This is his full story. The kid from Aliquippa, Tony Dorsett, was born on April 7, 1954 in Rochester, Pennsylvania, but the city that shaped him was Aliquippa, a steel mill town carved into the hillside just outside Pittsburgh, where the smoke never quite left the air and the boys from the projects had to be twice as fast just to stay even. He was the 6th of 7 children, raised in a government housing development built for black families and minorities. His father, Wes, worked the mills. His mother, Myrtle, kept the family anchored in faith. He first got noticed playing football as a sophomore in high school, except his coaches did not initially think he could play running back. He started as a cornerback. His coaches did not believe the 147-pound Dorsett was big enough to carry the ball, but he proved them wrong by taking a screen pass 75 yards for a touchdown. That one play changed everything. From that moment on, everybody in Western Pennsylvania knew the name Tony Dorsett.
Oh man, Tony Dorsett. Love to watch him.
He ended that year as an all-state selection, rushed for 1,034 yards, and scored 19 touchdowns. The following season, he was again an all-state selection and set a single-game rushing record with 247 yards. His single-season rushing record stood at 238 yards, and he led his team to a dominant season. Over 100 college programs came calling. Penn State, Notre Dame, everyone wanted him. But Dorsett chose Pittsburgh, a program that had won exactly one game the year before he arrived.
I didn't know Pitt had a football team until I heard of Tony Dorsett.
Some people thought he had lost his mind. He was about to prove every single one of them wrong. The Pitt years, building a legend. The University of Pittsburgh was not a football school when Tony Dorsett walked through the door in 1973. It was a program so beaten down, it had considered dropping out of the NCAA entirely. Then a kid from the projects changed all of that. Dorsett became the first freshman in 29 years to be named All-American. He finished second in the nation in rushing with 1,586 yards in 11 games and led the Pittsburgh Panthers to their first winning season in 10 years. His first collegiate game, he had 100 yards against nationally ranked Georgia.
Well, they also have a player this year that probably is the best of all of the Pittsburgh Panthers. His name is Tony Dorsett.
In 3 games, he ran for almost 700 yards total. The whole country wanted to know, who is this freshman? By his sophomore season, just 3 games in, he had already become Pitt's all-time leader in career rushing yards. By his junior year, he was virtually unstoppable. He ran for over 300 yards against Notre Dame in a nationally televised game, averaging more than 13 yards per carry on the day. The Irish could not touch him. Then came his senior year. He told the press he intended to rush for 6,000 career yards. Nobody had ever done it. The reporters looked at him like he had lost his mind. He was dead serious. He went on to finish with over 6,082 rushing yards as a Panther, surpassing the NCAA record. He scored 55 touchdowns. He won 18 NCAA records and set 27 Pitt marks. He won the 1976 Heisman Trophy in a landslide, one of the largest margins of victory in the award's history. And to cap it all off, he led Pittsburgh to the national championship, blowing out Georgia 27-3. Dorsett was the first player in football history to win a college national title, the Heisman, and a Super Bowl, and he had not played a single professional snap yet. Talk about building a resume. The blockbuster draft day trade. The 1977 NFL Draft arrived, and Tony Dorsett arrived with it, though not without some drama first. Seattle held his rights, and his whole objective was to discourage Seattle from drafting him because America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, had shown serious interest. He had his sights set on Texas. Dallas was not about to let him slip away. The Cowboys sent 4 draft picks to Seattle for the rights to draft Tony Dorsett, selecting him with the 2nd overall choice. A first-round pick and 3 second-round picks, all gone, just to move up 1 spot and grab a running back that scouts were quietly calling too small to survive in the NFL. Too small. The man who had broken every rushing record in college football history was supposedly too small. Some scouts in that draft room clearly had not watched much tape. Dorsett signed a 5-year contract for a reported $1.1 million, becoming the first player in franchise history to reach that amount. In fact, the 2nd richest rookie contract in NFL history at the time. The expectations were enormous. And the first thing that happened when he showed up to training camp, clashes with Tom Landry. Dorsett wanted the ball. Landry wanted him to earn it. As Dorsett once put it, "I'm not accustomed to being 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. Cowboys staff said privately he had a sense of entitlement. A petty fine of $87.50 for missing curfew due to a traffic jam. Extra laps. The power struggle between a Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame talent was already in full swing before a single regular season snap. But once Dorsett got on the field, all the questions evaporated. He rushed for 1,007 yards and 12 touchdowns.
Handoff, Dorsett, right guard to the 10 to the 5, touchdown!
And was a virtually unanimous choice for NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then came January. The Cowboys rode that momentum all the way to Super Bowl 12, beating the Denver Broncos 27-10, a national title with Pitt, a Super Bowl ring with Dallas, back-to-back. Nobody had ever done it. Nobody has done it since. The golden years in Dallas. If 1977 was a statement, the years that followed were a dynasty in the making. Tom Landry had told his offensive line 2 words: let Dorsett be Dorsett. Once the scheme adjustment stopped and the leash came off, number 33 was terrifying. Dorsett rushed for more than 1,000 yards in 8 of his first 9 seasons. The only miss was the strike-shortened 1982 campaign. 8 of 9. Consistency like that at the running back position is almost unheard of in the modern game, let alone the brutal football of the late 1970s and early 80s. His peak came in 1981 when he rushed for 1,646 yards and added 325 yards on 32 receptions. First team All-Pro, one of the best seasons any back had ever put together in the league. From 1981 to 1985, Dorsett was not just good, he was elite. Over 6,000 yards in that 5-year span alone, with 30 touchdowns. He went to 4 Pro Bowls. He made 5 NFC Championship game appearances. He was the engine that kept mediocre Dallas rosters competitive, long after Roger Staubach had retired. And then came that night in Minnesota, January 3rd, 1983, Monday Night Football. The entire country is watching. The Cowboys trailing 24-13 in the 4th quarter and pinned back on their own 1-yard line. The Cowboys had just 10 players on the field, fullback Ron Springs mistakenly standing on the sideline. Dorsett did not even have a lead block on the play. None of that mattered. He took the handoff from Danny White and burst through a hole, cut right, and raced down the sideline with a couple of Vikings defenders giving chase. He almost stepped out of bounds, but made a final move to avoid Vikings defender Willie Teal, bursting into both the end zone and the record books. 99 yards. A record that, by the laws of mathematics, can never be broken, only tied. And as Dorsett himself once said, "A couple of days have passed without me being asked about that run, but definitely not a week." That play is etched into NFL history forever. The contract wars and the beginning of the end. Here is where things get messy. The football was glorious. The politics of being Tony Dorsett? Considerably less so. By 1985, Dorsett had accumulated over 6,200 rushing yards in 5 seasons. He believed, with good reason, that he was among the most valuable players in the NFC. Then he found out that Randy White, Dallas's celebrated defensive tackle, had been given a contract extension that exceeded his own. Dorsett decided to hold out, demanding that his contract be renegotiated. He was furious that the Cowboys organization had publicly aired his financial problems and that a defensive tackle was walking away with more money than the man carrying the ball every Sunday.
NFL Hall of Famer Tony Dorsett. He's been in the news this week for his comments about football.
The Cowboys eventually worked out a new deal. But the tension never fully went away. And then, in 1986, Dallas brought in Herschel Walker, the other Heisman winner, the other college football phenomenon, the man who was everything Dorsett had once been except 10 years younger and 30 pounds bigger. When the Cowboys brought Walker on board, Dorsett went on a tirade because Walker's $5 million five-year contract exceeded his own $4.5 million five-year contract. Sources close to the team said simply, Tony's pride was bruised. Dorsett resented Walker from the get-go. As longtime Dallas running back Timmy Newsome put it, you had two ball carriers, neither willing to block for the other. Dorsett demanded a trade when he lost his starting job. In 1986, he rushed for 748 yards, and the following year gained a career-low 456. 11 seasons, 12,000 yards, hundreds of men who tried to tackle him and failed. And it ended like this: carries drying up, a roster increasingly built around someone else, and a final conversation with a franchise that had moved on without him. As Dorsett later told Sports Illustrated, mentally, I couldn't feel better. The Cowboys try to mold everyone in their image, and I couldn't be molded. Denver and the knee that changed everything. On June 4, 1988, newspapers across the country reported that the Dallas Cowboys had traded their former first-round pick to the Denver Broncos for a conditional fifth-round draft choice, a fifth-round conditional pick, 11 seasons, a Super Bowl ring, a 99-yard run, the Hall of Fame career, and the Cowboys got a fifth-round pick. That stung. Whatever Dorsett said publicly, you know that one stung. He reunited with Dan Reeves in Denver, the man who had once joked that drafting Dorsett made him a better running backs coach overnight. At 34 years old, Dorsett could still run 40 yards in 4.3 seconds, still elite athletically, still hungry. He led the Broncos in rushing with 703 yards in 1988, but injuries prevented him from building on it. Then came training camp in 1989. A knee. Torn knee ligaments ended his season and ultimately his career. Just like that. No farewell game. No victory lap around Texas Stadium. No ceremony to mark the end of one of the greatest rushing careers in the history of professional football. Just a training camp injury, a diagnosis, and a uniform he would never wear again. His body had made the decision before his heart was ready to make it. As Dorsett once reflected, football gives your life a rhythm. Training camp, Saturday night meetings, the locker room, the tunnel, the noise, and then suddenly, it all stops. No more huddling, no more helmets. You are just a man who used to play football, and that took some getting used to. The Hall of Fame and life after Dallas. In 1994, Dorsett was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Canton, Ohio. A gold jacket, a bronze bust. The ultimate confirmation of everything he had built from the hillsides of Aliquippa to the grand stages of Dallas and Denver. His final career numbers were staggering. Dorsett rushed for 12,739 yards. He totaled 16,226 yards from scrimmage. He scored 91 touchdowns, 77 rushing, 13 receiving, and 1 on a fumble return. He also became the only running back to rank in the top 10 in both NCAA and NFL history for career rushing yards, a singular achievement. Post-retirement, he stayed connected to the game. He served as an analyst for ESPN. He hosted charity events, including the Tony Dorsett Celebrity Golf Classic for McGuire Memorial, which raised nearly $5 million to support the organization's mission. He remained a presence in the Dallas community, at Cowboys functions, at Pittsburgh events, at alumni gatherings. He had his family, his son, Anthony Dorsett Jr., who followed his father's footsteps all the way to the NFL, playing defensive back from 1996 to 2003 and appearing in 2 Super Bowls. The legacy was intact, life looked good, but something was happening beneath the surface that nobody could see, not yet. The CTE diagnosis that shook the NFL. November 2013, Tony Dorsett was 59 years old, and he was scared. He had been noticing things for a while, forgetting routes he had driven for 30 years, losing his train of thought mid-sentence. He described it himself in haunting terms. When I'm out there, I'm on a cloud. It's like a fog, man. It's like a fog. That's the only way I can explain it. I can't get out of it, and I know, it's just a weird feeling, dude. I hate it, and I get that can make me get real frustrated if I'm not careful. The moods were getting darker. The outbursts were happening more often. He was getting lost driving his daughters to their soccer and volleyball games at places he had been going to for years. His family was frightened. So Dorsett made a proactive decision. He traveled to UCLA, where researchers were conducting breakthrough brain scans on former NFL players using a radioactive marker and a PET scan to detect tau protein buildup, the biological signature of CTE. CTE is indicated by a buildup of tau, an abnormal protein that strangles brain cells in areas that control memory, emotions, and other functions. Pro Football Hall of Famers Tony Dorsett and Joe DeLamielleure, along with NFL All-Pro Leonard Marshall, were among the first players diagnosed as showing signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative condition. Dorsett received the news by phone. He described it as hitting him like a ton of bricks. Doctors had told him he was clinically depressed, and he openly acknowledged trouble controlling his emotions and a growing tendency toward outbursts at his wife and daughters. Then he said something that was impossible to forget. Sitting across from ESPN cameras, overcome with emotion, Dorsett said, "It's painful, man, for my daughters to say they're scared of me." He paused, a long pause. Then again, "It's painful. The man who once made entire defenses look scared. The man who made linebackers grab air. His own daughters were scared of him. That is not a highlight reel moment. That is the full cost of football, and he was paying it without warning, without preparation, and without a cure." Fighting back, and the NFL lawsuit. To his enormous credit, Tony Dorsett did not disappear quietly. He got loud. He got public. He turned his diagnosis into a platform. "I'm going to beat this. Trust me," he said.
I'm going to beat this. Trust me, I'm going to beat this.
Dorsett made clear he wanted to be out front and personal about the diagnosis so that young players would go through the right protocol and get checked out after suffering head trauma. He said his competitive spirit as an athlete was helping him fight. His goal was to beat this, to reverse it, to stop it, to do whatever I can to not let it continue on and make my life miserable. He told reporters, "I'm in the fight, and most of the times when I'm in a fight, I give it my all." He also joined the legal fight. Dorsett was among the Hall of Famers who stepped forward to confront the NFL directly. In all, more than 4,500 retired players sued the league, alleging that the NFL concealed what it knew about the long-term dangers of concussions. The lawsuit eventually resulted in a landmark settlement, $765 million to fund medical exams, concussion-related compensation, and research. But Dorsett made clear he thought it was not enough. He said publicly, "You're talking about $765 million. That's a lot of money, but that's a lot of players with a lot of issues. This might be the molehill compared to the mountain." And then he said something even more pointed. "I can't put a price on my health. The owners knew about the dangers of concussions for years, and they looked the other way, and they kept putting us players in harm's way. That is not the language of a man who has made peace with how things went. That is a man still carrying real anger, and given what he knows now, who could blame him?" As Dorsett later reflected on his own career, "Football has been my life, and football has been kind to me. But when I signed up for this, I didn't know some of the repercussions. I did know I could get injured, but I didn't know about my head, or the trauma, or the things that could happen to me later on in life." How he lives now. Tony Dorsett turns 73 this coming April, and the life he lives today is nothing like the one the public imagines for a Hall of Famer. As of 2025 and into 2026, Dorsett is reported to be living in the Dallas suburb of Frisco. Local reporting and charity profiles describe him as active but selective, attending high-profile college and professional games, fan events, and television appearances rather than holding a full-time public role. When he surfaces publicly, Dorsett is most often seen in one of three settings: speaking at Pittsburgh Panthers functions, appearing at Cowboys-related activities in Dallas, or participating in national health and brain injury awareness campaigns tied to his CTE diagnosis. His net worth is estimated at over $5 million as of 2026. For context, the man once signed the richest rookie contract in Cowboys history. He was the first football player ever to hit $1 million on a rookie deal. He played in an era where NFL salaries were a fraction of today's market. That $5 million net worth tells a story about the economics of the game he played and the era in which he played it. Players who generate that same level of highlight moments today are walking away with generational wealth. Dorsett is not in poverty, but the contrast between his contribution to the NFL's growth and his current financial standing is not comfortable to look at. Dorsett has also become a vocal advocate against sleep apnea, a disorder that causes interrupted or shallow breathing during sleep. He has reportedly helped to over 150 former players address the condition, he still shows up, he still advocates, he still has that competitive fire that journalists and broadcasters noticed when they sat across from him. But the daily reality, the fog, the memory lapses, the mood swings, the mornings where the mind does not always cooperate, that is the cost of all those Sundays he gave to the game he loved. Dorsett once told a Dallas radio station, "I signed up for this when, I guess I started playing football so many years ago, but obviously, not knowing that the end was going to be like this. But I love the game. The game was good to me. It's just unfortunate that I'm going through what I'm going through." That is Tony Dorsett approaching 73, a man who gave everything, every cell in his body, every Sunday of his 30s, every yard from Aliquippa to Canton, to a sport that built him into a legend, and then slowly, quietly, started collecting what it was owed. The stadium is empty now, someone else is wearing the number, but the man is still standing, still fighting, still Tony Dorsett. Which part of Tony Dorsett's story hit you hardest? The glory of the 99-yard run, the CTE diagnosis, or the way his relationship with Dallas ended? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to NFL Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.